Hey, what's up, guys? Hope everybody's doing well and having a great day. Welcome back to another live stream. It's Sunday, February 4th. It's about 2 o'clock Arizona time, 2024. Right now, the weather situation in Arizona, pretty calm, pretty quiet, but that doesn't mean it's going to stay like that for the remainder of the spring and possibly summer. We're already seeing the effects of El Nino very strongly. But there's something that's not being talked about with regard to the situation over here in California. And we're going to talk in depth about the situation over the potential situation. There's currently a historic weather event underway over there. And the side effects of such an event, being that it's historic, kind of tells us that this type of thing hasn't happened very often. And if it does, or if it has happened, there were some things that occurred that weren't necessarily good. And we're going to talk about some of these things. What's going on, Carrie? Hey guys, welcome to the live stream. Before we get started, though, I wanted to bring up something. We don't want to overlook our friends in North Florida and South Georgia. Are you serious right now? Look at all these red rectangles. Look at them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tornado warnings right this moment. If you're in north central Florida, due east and north of Tallahassee. In fact, let's go right to the location because I don't recall ever seeing this either. This is kind of an unprecedented event to have 5 tornado warnings right next to each other at the same time. And these were confirmed tornadoes. That's what that means when there's a tornado, a little circle like that on this map. There was a tornado spotted there, which would be north of Fargo, south and east of DuPont. Wow. And then up here in southern Georgia, and these storms are moving crazy fast. In fact, let's see just how fast. Northwest at 29 knots. That's that system there just north of Ray City that did produce, according to this, a tornado warning in this area for the next 19 minutes above Cecil, north of Cecil and Adele. Tornado warning in that area. Moultrie. Norman Park, Doran, tornado warning in that area. Homerville, Argyle, tornado warning in that area. Coming down here, this is kind of out in a rural area, no specific communities, at least on this map. 1-inch hail being reported from this area, the storm moving at 23 knots. Due north, 5 tornado warnings in northern Florida right now as I do this video in February. Are you serious? This is definitely a sign of things to come. And from what I understand, there are also tornado warnings along the east or west coast, parts of the west coast of California. I wanted to touch base on this Florida situation because they've been dealing with severe weather pretty much all day. Over here in California, this is going to go on for the next couple of days, producing a Days of Noah type of event. We could see historic flooding over here in parts of California. Saw some back, I remember back in 2018, I saw an event unfolding on radar, or at least the Futurecast. And the Futurecast was showing in this area right here, in the area of Santa Barbara, right where we're seeing it again today. And there's mountainous regions here, a lot of steep hills and slopes that water that comes down very quickly has nowhere to go but down. And it goes down into communities. And I remember back in 2018, I saw the potential for 4 inches of rain in less than like 90 minutes in this area of Montecito, this area right here. And it happened. They got the 4 inches of rain pretty much in an hour. It triggered an unbelievable mudslide that brought down boulders. I mean, looked like a scene out of Fred Flintstone, the big boulders and stuff. Created a terrible situation because the rain came down so fast. and it came down right in the mountainous regions. I think it's the San Gabriel Mountains behind Montecito. Well, the same setup is happening again. The stage is being set. However, this stage is much bigger. It's going to last much longer. So we could see a repeat of quite possibly something like this again. The only difference is on a much larger scale. If you can wrap your mind around that, yeah, on a much larger scale, covering a bigger part of California, spanning from San Diego, the storm system that you're looking at right now on radars, moving into the Santa Maria area. There's all kinds of warnings on here. I have never seen such a list of warnings ever anywhere except today. First time. This is what's going on in California today. You've got to be look at the list. It looks like a homework list from when you were in high school or something. Severe thunderstorm warning, marine warning, flood warning, tornado watch, winter storm warning. Because you got to keep in mind this moisture is moving through California. It's going up into the elevations, and it's colder in the elevations, so it's going to snow. Hurricane force wind warning, storm warning, gale warning, high wind warning. We're going to take a look at some of the coastal waters here in just a minute. Red flag warning, hazardous sea warning. Got to be kidding me. This goes on and on and on. High surf warning, coastal flood watch, flash flood watch, aerial flood watch, gale watch, high wind watch, winter weather advisory, avalanche watch, and an avalanche warning, all in the same day. Wow, you just don't hear of things like this. This is a days of Noah situation on steroids. I mean, unbelievable situation going on over here. What do we got here? Non-thunderstorm wind gust. This is something new. 79 mile an hour winds reported in the Morro Bay area. That just happened, guys. So you're going to see major power outages up and down the coast of California, moving inland of California. This is going to be a big, big event. No joke. And there's a component, a side effect of a large-scale event like this that is not being talked about. I haven't heard one person talk about it, but we're going to talk about it here today. I wanted to show you guys some radar. Looking over here at Ventus, this is windy. I use windy and Ventus Sky. This is just the traditional weather radar. You can see rain moving into the area. It's been moving through the area for 24 hours, and it's not going to stop. There is an atmospheric river, a sky river is what they call these things. Sometimes they're called a pineapple express. Sometimes they're called atmospheric rivers, sky rivers. It is a continuous line of atmospheric moisture that trains over the same location, and this happens during El Nino phases along the west coast of California, and it's happening again today, and this is a big one. This is a long atmospheric river. In fact, it's going to affect our location over here in Arizona. We're going to see rain over here in the Phoenix area on, I believe, Tuesday and into Wednesday, and it's going to be some of this atmospheric river moisture making its way over into Arizona. You can see right now there's very heavy rainfall up here in the Yuba City area. Let's see if we can click on this. This is just the last 24 hours. This isn't live. You can see it was dry about 12 hours ago, and then the rain moving through right now. So yeah, definitely raining there in the Yuba City area. We're going to be looking for areas that are currently flooding. We're probably going to see some dramatic footage coming out of California with regard to mudslides and flash flooding, avalanches up in the elevations, heavy snowfall. Let's see if we can go up to, yeah, look at the snow up here. This is in the Lake Tahoe area. Check it out. It's raining in the lower elevations, snowing in the higher elevations. That's what it does out here in Arizona, up in the mountainous regions. You know, it'll snow up there and be 75 degrees down here, just 150 miles away. But you can see the snow is already starting to pile up in the Sierra Nevadas. That was in the Lake Tahoe area, the Truckee area I've looked at a couple of times. They're already starting to get snow. This is in the I-80 at King Vale, and you can see whiteout condition. There's somebody out on a road right there. I mean, vehicle issues of some sort. That's up in the Truckee area, and they're going to see a lot of snow. In fact, there's an avalanche warning. I don't know that I've ever seen that over here, but there's currently one today, an avalanche warning as the snow. Look how much snow they've already got. Check this out. Here is an excellent gauge. Look at that. That's a good 12 inches, right? That's a foot. Fresh powder right there. Donner Lake Village. Fresh powder. There's a foot already, and it's just getting started. Got Days of Noah event underway, folks, and it's going to be a long duration event. This is going to go on for a couple of days. There was a report from the Santa Barbara County. The leaders issued evacuation orders. And what they were having, probably flashbacks of was what happened back in Montecito back in 2018 when, nobody really paid any attention to that potential rain that was brewing off the West Coast. I did. I saw the storm moving in, but it looked very much like what we see here. It showed potentially 4 inches of rain accumulating in a very short period of time right here in this area. They're expecting more rain in this area. However, it's over the course of, a couple of days. Look, 8, 9 inches of rain in some places. Some places could see 12 inches of rain. If that does occur, which more than likely it probably will based off of the looks of the atmosphere and the continuous line of moisture, some places in the Los Angeles area could see 8 to 12 inches of rain. Widespread areas of 5 to 8, and an even larger area of 3 to 5 inches of rain. The yellow represents 2 to 3. The green represents anywhere from 1/2 inch to 2 inches of rain. And then, of course, the purples represent snow up in the Sierra Nevada mountains. 18 to 30 inches, quite possibly even more. So it's coming. It's coming down fast and furious. The problem with this is there's going to be tornadic conditions over here along the west coast of California at night. The worst time you could ever have a tornado. Not that there's ever a good time for a tornado, but a tornado at night is 1,000 times worse. So there's very high winds right now along the west coast of California. In fact, let's just take a look at the current wind speeds, wind gusts along the coast. I know when I first came here, they were showing gusts earlier of, around 60 miles an hour, 65. That's still, pretty strong. Let's see what we got going on here. Wind speeds, wind gusts. Not that location. Let's go to here. There we go. Yeah, you're talking big time wind gusts up in the mountains of 80, 90 miles an hour, 99. Look at that. Look, are you serious? Mammoth Lakes, 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Wow, that's going to create some mammoth snowdrifts up there in the mountainous regions. But down here around San Jose, 80, 79, there was just a 79-mile-an-hour wind gust reported down around Santa Barbara. 90-mile-an-hour wind gust because you have a big area. You can see it right there, a big area of low pressure that's got a very strong counterclockwise rotation. And that wind, it's really cranking up the winds. I've got some cameras that I'm going to share with you guys here in just a moment of some of the winds, some of the rain, the press conference. I can sum it up for you real quick, but basically they're telling people in the Santa Barbara area to head for higher ground, to just get out of Dodge. They're giving people free places to park in Santa Barbara. In case you haven't seen this, it's something that you should listen to. And hopefully, if you're in this area, you have evacuated because it's coming. And one thing that's not being considered that I want to share with you guys is this. If this much rain does fall in these areas, especially in the Los Angeles area, and let's just say that they do receive 12 inches of rain, even 10 inches of rain over here that comes down in these mountainous regions. And one thing that this area is known for, this is Montecito right here, the rain accumulated in these hillsides so fast, it came all convened down here in the middle, and gravity won. Gravity pulled all the water down, and away it came, brought boulders down out of the mountains. We could see that this type of situation in multiple areas. But one thing that's not being considered, guys, in these areas here, underneath all of these rifts, these mountains and hillsides and stuff, are hundreds and hundreds of fault lines. This place is known for small earthquake activity and every once in a while, large earthquakes. But there are fault lines all over the place over here. You factor in 10 inches of rain, even if it's over the course of a 2-day period, that rain is still going to be there. It's going to be there in the ground in some capacity, whether it's on top of the ground, in the form of a flood or a flash flood, whether it saturates the ground, which eventually it will. That's a lot of weight. That is a lot of weight, and you cover several square miles with just straight up water. Water is heavy. Water weighs 8 pounds per gallon. So how many gallons do you think of rain are going to come down out of the sky hose that's just spraying water all over California right now, that's loaded with fault lines all over the place? There are fault lines that we probably don't even know exist, but if you click on active faults, which I think we can, there we go. We're just going to add some of the fault lines on here, and you can see them. There's these little red lines all over the place over here in Southern California. And these are just the ones that we know of. See the little fault line? Well, it's not showing them up too good, showing them too well on this map. But there they are. You can kind of see them there. There's fault lines all over the place. See them very prominent in Nevada. See all these red lines right there? Let me zoom in like that. There you go. All those are fault lines. See the fault lines that run through Los Angeles? And there's more that aren't even on this map. There are a lot. Add the water weight in there, right? What's going to happen? You guessed it, possible earthquakes, because there's going to be an imbalance in the surface weight on top of the soil, on top of these fault lines. So what's going to happen? All that extra weight could trigger a fault. It's called water weight, and it's real. Look at all these fault lines here. Add a bunch of extra weight on there in a very short period of time. Yes, it could trigger a fault, and it could trigger an earthquake, maybe a series of earthquakes, maybe a big one. I don't know. But there's always small earthquakes over here in this area on an average day. And this area hardly ever gets any rain. So you throw it way out of balance with a couple trillion gallons of water that weigh 8 pounds per gallon. That's a lot of weight, man. That is a lot of extra weight in these areas where there's fault lines all over the place. And fault lines are known for their movement, right? So if you have a lot of weight on top of these fault lines that's moving around or staying in the same place for an extended period of time that's not normally there, because the water is accumulating, and it's accumulating fast right now as I do this video. You can see this is just one radar feed that's in the Santa Maria area and everywhere else out here in Southern California. There's a lot of fault lines over here in these areas. So Santa Barbara, this is the location of the Montecito incident right in here where this rain's coming in. It's accumulating up in those mountainous regions again. Will we see a repeat of 2018? From what I understand, this happened back January 9th, I believe, of 2023. There was another incident, not necessarily in the exact location of Montecito, but this is a lot of weight, guys. This is a big, big event, a Days of Noah event that could go on for many days. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is a big time. It could be a big time flood because all the components are there. The stage is being set for no small event. This is going to be a large scale event. Never seen a map with so many different watches and warnings ever at one time. I mean, it's one thing. Look at Texas. You've got a couple of different types of warnings down here. Even Florida with all that's going on down here. And I just showed you guys tornado warnings that aren't even on the map, that weren't forecasted. They just happened. Let's take a look at the tornado warning situation in Florida. I mean, it's very active today on both coasts. And this is just a side effect of El Nino, especially when you transfer into El Nino. Okay, the yellow are severe thunderstorm warnings. We still have 1, 2, 3 tornado warnings in this area. So we've got, and there's a possibility, and this is highly unusual, there is a possibility of tornado warnings along the west coast of the United States. These are tornado warnings that are currently in effect in southern Georgia and far northern Florida, just west and north of Jacksonville, Florida. Very active, fast-moving, counterclockwise rotation. And if you can see the entire structure, it would look like the big scorpion tail in the sky. We've talked about that before. And this started out over the Central Plains, and it's just kind of slowly but surely been gaining momentum and producing tornadoes, from what I understand today. But the situation out here in California, this could get very dicey, guys. I mean, all of this extra water weight, it definitely could have an impact on the earthquake. This is an earthquake-prone part of the world. In fact, there are a lot of fault lines in this area, and you guys are well aware of that. You know the deal. There's fault lines all over in California. Add, like I said, tons and tons, millions of pounds of weight on top of these fault lines. They're going to react in some way. They just can't not react. I mean, it's way too much weight. If it was just a sprinkle, little afternoon shower, wouldn't think too much of it. But a huge event like this that's going to go on for days, these fault lines, I don't think it's possible for them to not react. They have to. That's what they are. They're fault lines. They're going to react to this extra weight. They're not going to know how to handle it. So, yes, absolutely, it could be a situation. I'm right here, guys. I'm just adjusting. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at that radar over there. It's still showing the moisture, the offshore moisture that hasn't even come ashore yet. It's going to start raining harder the farther south you go into this evening. Tonight, during the overnight hours, it's going to start impacting San Diego and still impacting Los Angeles, Burbank, Santa Clara, Palmdale, Santa Barbara, Santa Maria. In fact, let's go north and just see what the situation looks like right now on radar. Take a close look at the San Francisco area, and you can see it is fast and furious right now as I do this video, and it's been like this since last night. A lot of extra water weight up here, guys. The ground is starting to get saturated. The water getting up in these hills is going to trigger mudslides. There's a huge amount of snow that's coming down up in the mountainous regions of the Sierra Nevadas. There's a special weather statement from the National Weather Service out of San Francisco. Let's see what they have to say. This was a statement that was posted just a little while ago. A strong thunderstorm will impact northwestern Alameda, central San Mateo, southwestern Contra Costa, and western Santa Clara through 1:30 p.m. 1255 Doppler radar was tracking strong thunderstorms over an area near Woodside and San Carlos, moving north at a staggering 75 miles an hour. I mean, that alone is just wild. A storm system with forward movement faster than a car goes down most interstates. 75 miles an hour. Wind gusts of 50 to 55 miles an hour, pea-sized hail, gusty winds could knock down tree limbs and blow around unsecured objects. Minor hail could damage vegetation. Speaking of that very special weather statement, let's take a look at the power outage situation. Here we go. Let me update it. 171,000, now 204,000, approaching 250,000 customers right now as I do this video, and it's 1:16 p.m. California time. The day is early, and you can see where the action is at right now, all up and down the west coast of California. These are counties that are dealing with power outages right now at this very moment. And here's the thing, with these winds over 50 miles an hour, the linemen can't get out in their trucks and get the power back on in these places until the winds are below 35 miles an hour. So the power could be out for an extended period of time, if not multiple days. And it's just getting started. These are counties that are dealing with power outages. The dark orange county is San Luis Obispo, tracking 29,671. Monterey County, 32,806. Going up to Mendocino, 8,200. 12,000 in Napa. 11,000 in Santa Barbara. Inland, Madera, 3,500. So the power outages, Santa Clara, 21,942. And we've got power outages right now in Colorado. There's a system moving through Colorado as well. 13,600 in Colorado, 12,100 in the state of Texas. And from what I understand, these are weather-related power outages. Look at the plethora of warnings here. Watches and warnings or advisories for California. Check this out. Look at how long this list is. This was posted this morning. Look at this. Keeps going and going. I'm not even halfway through yet. Are you serious right now? What is going on? I mean, really, what is going on? Now, factor in all these watches and warnings, and the majority of these are warnings because they're currently happening. Factor in the water weight. Don't forget about the water weight, guys, because that's a real possibility. With this much rain coming down, there's the fault lines right there. See them? Let me see if I can switch maps here. Let's see if we can go. There you go. Look at all the fault lines. There they are. That's what you want to be paying attention to. Yeah, there's a lot of rain coming down. Yeah, there's high winds, and there's probably going to be flooding, and there's going to be mudslides. Absolutely. Is there going to be a lot of snow up in the mountains? You better believe it. There's going to be a bunch. But these fault lines in these areas here, with all the extra water weight, that is a scenario that it needs to be considered at least, because there's going to be so much heavy weight from the excess water that's normally not here. California is not known for its rain. Yeah, it never has been. There's songs that have been written about how it never rains in Southern California. What inspired that group to write the song "It Never Rains in Southern California"? Because it never rains in Southern California. And there's still earthquakes in Southern California all the time without no rain and without no extra water weight. Add a bunch of extra water weight on there and let's just see what happens. Hopefully there won't be any earthquakes. I'm not hoping that there will be. I'm just saying. Mathematically, the numbers tell me that there's going to be so much extra weight here. These fault lines are more than likely going to react to it in some way. Is it going to be a big way or a small way? It just remains to be seen. Just remains to be seen. We'll have to wait and see. But right now, there is a lot of moisture coming. This is a look at the Pacific Ocean, and you can see this atmospheric river. I think I have another still image of it. Yeah, right here. You can see how far back it stretches. They call these the Pineapple Express, and you can see why. Reaches all the way back to mostly most atmospheric rivers. Not all. They're all different in their own way, but they're all similar. This one just so happens to reach all the way back to Hawaii. Hawaii's known for pineapples, right? So they call it the Pineapple Express. It's just a slang term. Atmospheric river is really kind of a slang term. There's no rivers literally up in the atmosphere, but it's just a continual line of solid, pretty much nonstop moisture. It's like a river in the sky, you know. It brings so much moisture to the same general area, and you send that atmospheric river over an earthquake-prone part of the world, any part of the world, whether it's Southern California or anywhere else, that water weight is going to have an issue in some regard with the earthquake-prone area. It has to. I don't know how it couldn't. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but parts of Anaheim are on rollers. They somehow engineered, and it's quite an engineering marvel, to be honest with you. I can remember many years ago, we were over in Anaheim, right in this area, right there you see on the map. And I remember I felt the very first earthquake there. It was like you were standing temporarily on a marshmallow. And I went to the front desk of the hotel we were staying at, and I asked the person that was working there. I said, hey man, I said, did we just have an earthquake? I said, there for a second, the ground felt like a marshmallow, like I was standing on a marshmallow. They said, yeah. He said, yeah, we did. He goes, I'm used to it though. He goes, Anaheim is on rollers. And I'm like, on rollers? What are you talking about on rollers? He goes, yeah, they've got rollers underneath the city that absorb a lot of the small earthquakes, and potentially a large earthquake, if there were ever to be a large one there, that the rollers would, help out. But it was a weird feeling. It was like I was standing on a marshmallow temporarily. And he just kind of laughed because he was used to it. He goes, you'll get used to it if you're going to be here for a few days. But very weird feeling. But this area is loaded with fault lines, just loaded, guys. And these little hillsides you see here, there's Montecito, and this was the classic setup. There was no way around it. The water accumulated up in these little mountain regions here, and they found their way to the center of these little valleys and gained momentum. And water is very strong. Water is very powerful. It was strong enough to move these boulders clear out of the mountains down into the subdivision, and these things weigh several tons. Water is massively strong, and again, it weighs 8 pounds per 1 gallon. So you take a look at all the rain that's coming down in these areas, and let's say the water, starts to condense in one concentrated area, creating a temporary lake in effect. If you have flash flooding, that's what you're going to basically be doing. You're going to create a temporary lake or a pond, take 6 inches and cover several square miles. That is a lot of weight. So will it influence the fault lines? I don't see how it can't. I honestly don't see how it can't. They're fragile anyway. So just add a couple of billion tons on there or whatever, and I'm sure they're going to react in some way. Down to 1 tornado, nope, 2, 3. Still got 3 tornado warnings out here. Wow, these things are relentless. Okay, let's turn the map back on. Northeastern Florida and southern Georgia, still looking at tornado warnings. So if you guys are anywhere in this area, it looks like Jacksonville is, if you're in Jacksonville, Florida, big ol' heads up. You've got a tornado possibly coming right at you. Not 1, but 2. Let's see if this was spotted on. Yeah, this was a tornado warning. National Weather Service, Jacksonville, Florida. Let's see what they got to say. Was 1 spotted, or did they show rotation? Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Middleburg, moving northeast at 25 miles an hour. Hazard tornado radar indicated rotation. This is a dangerous storm, and it will be near Middleburg at 4:30 p.m. That's in 5 minutes. And they're saying right here that these are the people from the National Weather Service. They're saying to take cover now. So that means that they are fairly confident that this situation right here, just east and north of Lottie, right by Middleburg, Florida, tornado is happening. Let's check this area here just west of Jacksonville, Florida. Another tornado, 12 miles northwest of Orange Park, moving 20 miles an hour, flying debris, tornado, dangerous storm. Near Cisco Gardens at 4:35. Around 4:30 p.m. it will be in Jacksonville. Other locations affected by this tornadic thunderstorm include White House Airfield. Take cover now. That's not me. That's the good guys and gals from the National Weather Service telling you to find an interior room with no glass. A basement would be perfect. If you have a basement, that would be absolutely wonderful. Find it and get in it. Here we go up into the Ellington, just north of Berlin, Norman Park. Another tornado. These things are just one after another after another. Both sides of the United States just loaded with atmospheric energy. A tornado warning remains in effect until 4:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for southwestern Cook and eastern Colquitt counties. 4:15 p.m. with a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was spotted 9 miles east of Moultrie. Tornado, this is a dangerous storm. Other locations impacted by this storm are Cool Spring, Pineborough, Ellerton, Crossland, Spence Airport, and Berlin. Take cover now. And once again, that's coming from the good guys and gals at the National Weather Service out of Jacksonville, Florida. Tornado warnings persist. Got marine warnings off the coast of Georgia and Florida. Severe thunderstorm warnings inland. Look at the counterclockwise rotation. That is rotating like a land-based tropical cyclone. That's exactly what the satellite presentation looks like. Classic counterclockwise motion. And it's February. It's not hurricane season. It's February, but that's what that looks like. Classic counterclockwise rotation. What we got going on out here in California? Here's our landslide. We got a landslide, guys. Check this out. Just read this. This was posted at 12:45 p.m. California time, so just a few minutes ago. Let's read. Let's get the radar back on. See what's shaking up here. What do we got going on up here? Oh, yeah. Big rain up here. And it's been like this for a while. They got a landslide. Let's read about it. Gaberville. Here we go. It's the first one I've seen. I'm sure this is the first of many. Landslide 12:45 p.m. near Piercy, California. Northbound Highway 101 lane closure from 0.9 miles north of Piercy to 1.4 miles north of Piercy due to a landslide. That is a half a mile of highway. A half a mile of highway closed due to a landslide up here in Northern California. So it's already starting. And that occurred at 12:45 p.m. today. So landslides are already occurring in Northern California. And again, that's probably the first of many. Let's see what's going on over here in Sacramento near Palenta R Forest in Sacramento. A wind speed of 62 miles an hour. That's the wind gust. 41 mile an hour sustained. Clocked in the Sacramento area, just south and east of Sacramento, near San Francisco. Landslide number 2. Here we go. Guys, I'm telling you, it's on. This is going to be a big time event. This is a days of Noah type scenario setting up over here. 12:32 p.m. 2/4, landslide in San Francisco at Market Street and 18th Street, blocking the road. And that is in the San Francisco area, right here in a very densely populated area, right there in the middle, landslide. This is going to happen, guys, a lot in California. This is going to go on for several hours. This is going to let up Salinas, flood, 12:45 p.m. This is updated. Law enforcement live in Oak. Roadways underwater in... Where are we at? Carmel Valley. That would be right here. Carmel by the sea, dealing with high winds and flooding. Wind damage, multiple trees down, blocking the road near Carmel by the sea. 12:45 p.m. Del Monte. Let's read this one here. Another wind damage report, probably the first of many. More trees blocking the southbound lane of State Road 68 at Skyline Forest, resulting in a vehicle accident. Good grief. That's another thing, too. These roads are going to be very slick. If you're not used to driving on roads that are covered in water, you have got to be very careful. You can hydroplane so easy. Hydroplaning is when the tires of your car literally come off the surface of the road. Look at that right there. Now, here's something. Get a load of this here. Are you serious right now? Look. That's a tornado vortex signature in California. Wow, that's about as weird as seeing snow in Jamaica. Got to be kidding me. There's another one right there offshore. Wow, that is wild, guys. You just don't see that. I don't think I've ever seen that on this radar. Here we go. 2:25 p.m. Tornado vortex signature. Maximum speed 104 knots. Holy mackerel. Are you kidding me? Here's another one. This one was offshore and not quite as strong. Maximum velocity at 86 or 87 knots. This one here was onshore. Wow. And this was right in the area. I'm telling you, these guys were good when they made their forecast. They were showing this area right here. the possibility of tornado watches and warnings right here along the west central California, and they were correct. Very impressive weather forecast. They're showing tornadoes up here on the radar, one offshore and one inland. And luckily, it's in a rural area, but the water is coming down fast and furious. And guys, it's going to adjust the terrain. And another thing to consider, if you factor in the water weight and you factor in, let's say, even a moderate-sized mudslide that moves around a lot of debris and the surface of the land changes very quickly. That's a lot of weight that's redistributed from one location to another. That too is going to influence these fault lines. There's no way around it. They have to react to it in some way, shape, or form. I can't imagine them not reacting to that much weight. Here's another report, another wind report. Today, 1240, 94 miles an hour. 94 mile an hour wind gust near Grapevine, California. Are you serious? That's hurricane force. There you go. Inland hurricane force winds in California. This is a big deal, guys. Tornadoes, mudslides, power outages, possible earthquake uptick because of the water weight. Santa Clara, what we got going on here? This looks like a new report. Wind damage. 71 mile an hour wind gust near Magic Mountain. Wow. Look at that. 71. These are probably wind gusts as well. Yeah, another wind gust report. 62 mile an hour wind gust near Refugio State Beach. Here's another one. Looks like this one is possibly offshore. Let's see. 66 mile an hour wind gust in the same general area. Gaviota, Messonnier, source Messonnier, Gaviota, California. 66 mile an hour gust. Well, the one inland was over 100. That is very impressive. And you can see the center of rotation where we are right over here. And here's the Sky River that just continually is producing moisture, hundreds of miles of moisture, and it's moving inland. It's bringing it into California. And again, I can't emphasize enough the redistribution of the mud and boulders and rocks and water. All that stuff's heavy, man. It's got a lot of weight. You go moving weight around on a fault zone prone area like Southern California, those fault lines are going to react to the displacement of the land itself and the extra water weight. You're talking a lot of rain. We're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of possibly 12 inches of rain in parts of Los Angeles. Look at that, 8 to 12 inches of rain down here in the Los Angeles area. Wow, I wouldn't be surprised if there weren't some earthquakes coming up, maybe a swarm or two here and there. Let's check the power outage situation. The last time we looked, it was 204,000. We're going to update it. I'm going to refresh the page right now. Now we have power outages in Georgia because of the tornadoes in South Georgia would be my guess, 11,300. That just happened within the last 20 minutes. Now in California, we're up to 206,000 customers currently without electricity. Wouldn't surprise me if that reached 1 million before it gets dark. Wouldn't surprise me at all if there weren't 1 million customers affected by these high winds and heavy rain. Looking at some winds here. This is up in the San Francisco area. No major onshore push yet, but you can rest assured it's coming, and it will probably come in with the high tide. Here's the list again. That's about 120 miles long of various warnings and watches for just one state. You would think looking at this, okay, that's multiple states, right? No, this is just one state. Winter storm warnings, multiple of those, wind warnings, high wind warnings, multiple high wind warnings. We just saw 100 mile an hour winds in West Central California, wind advisory, avalanche warning. That would be obviously up in the elevations, but more than likely that is going to occur with the non-stop presence of these atmospheric rivers. One in particular that's going to bring copious amounts of rain and snow in the elevations. anywhere from a foot to maybe 2 feet, 3 feet of snow in the elevations. Flood watches, just several flood watches for various parts of California, northern and southern. Winter storm warning, obviously in the elevations. Just again, a plethora of wind advisories all up and down the California coast and interior areas. Flood watches again affecting both northern, central, and southern California. Flood advisories, and I'm not even halfway through this list. It just goes on and on and on. High surf advisory, flood warning, high wind warning. More. Look at all these high wind warnings. There's another high wind warning. Just a massive storm. That is a big deal. It's going to bring a lot of moisture to these areas that are prone to mudslides. They've had mudslides with less rain. I've seen it. Saw it 2018 right in here, this exact area. And I'll tell you who got it right. Ventusky. You can thank Ventusky. Ventusky got it, man. I watched Ventusky, and I tried to tell people back in 2018, hey man, there's a chance of an event over here. You know, if you do get 4 inches of rain in less than 2 hours, it could trigger some sort of at least a big flash flood. I had no idea it was going to do that. Sure did. Came right down that valley. That gravity won as usual, and the rain came down, and gravity took it down to the valley. It gained momentum, gained a lot of speed. Water is very strong. Water is heavy. Water is powerful. Brought down several tons of rocks into communities and several tons of land into communities. And it was a big event, okay? It was a big event that affected a lot of people in not a good way. And I didn't like to see it. And this was another event that it couldn't have been avoided. The rain was, I think we were in an El Nino. We were in a weak El Nino phase at the time. It was 2018. And this was one area. Can you imagine this happening in multiple areas through here? Multiple areas, and it's a very real possibility because of the size and magnitude of the storm that we're dealing with. This very large atmospheric river, all the water collecting in these mountaintops here, these peaks. And where's it going to go? It's going to find the biggest valley right there. That's why they were advising people to get out of Santa Barbara. They said just head for higher ground right down here, because they knew that these were going to collect a lot of water over the next 24 to 48 hours and create new creeks, create flash flooding. And they didn't want to repeat. You know, there's no way to stop it. They didn't want a repeat of what happened in especially 2018 in Montecito. But it's happening right now as I do this video. There's an onshore flow of this very heavy moisture. The clouds are just overloaded with moisture. You can see the water vapor right there. Look at the water vapor making landfall right there. That is a lot of water vapor. That's a lot of moisture in those clouds. And it's making its way to the ground in these foothills right here. And the water is going to run towards the coast. That's how the foothills are naturally engineered. They're engineered to move the water away from land, and it finds its way to the coast. Sometimes they'll pool and form little lakes here and there, very, very few and far between. There's some up in the upper elevations, but down here, the way this landmass is configured, the water is going to find its way to the coast. And if that means going through a city to get there, that's where it's going to go. It's going to go right through the city. The water is not going to recognize the city. The water is not going to recognize structures and things like that. It's going to find the coastline where it wants to go, the lowest gravitational point. That's where it's headed. So if there's buildings and structures in between, it's not its fault. That's just the way water works and the lay of the land. And right now, these peaks are catching a lot of, down here in the lower elevations, it's liquid moisture. All you do is go east a little bit up here into the Sierra Nevadas, and you're talking frozen precipitation. And they're looking at avalanche warnings up in these areas in the upper elevations. very heavy snow warnings, winter storm warnings, you name it. The warnings are up there with regard to snow. The moisture down here, since it's warm, is going to remain liquefied, and it's going to pool in the tops of these peaks and these foothills and make its way down the foothills through these communities again. Whether we'll see these raging mudslides, that remains to be seen. The rain looks like, at least for the time being, it's fairly spread out. It's being dispersed, fairly evenly up and down the coast from Northern California and eventually down to Southern California. This is a big system, and it's bringing a lot of moisture, potentially 12 inches of rain to Los Angeles. And they could see extensive flooding in these areas in Burbank and Pico Rivera, El Monte, Arcadia, Glendale, West Hollywood, Santa Monica, Inglewood, Torrance, Long Beach. My friends over at Marina Del Rey, of course, they're not going to be too heavily influenced by any flooding because they're on the marina itself, but the people on land will be. Garden Grove, Santa Ana. The water is coming out of the foothills, guys, and it's going to go towards the coast. So that's just how the lay of the land it functions, and it doesn't rain that often in Southern California. So those little valleys are hard. They're slow to absorb water. Plus the areas that have burn scars. I think I have the California, yeah. Well, it doesn't necessarily show the burn scars, but there's 5 areas down here, I believe, maybe more, that have burn scars. And those areas, that's what happened in Montecito. The water accumulated over an area that had just had a wildfire. And I want to say it was the Thomas wildfire, but I'm not 100% sure. I know there was a wildfire in that area. So there was no vegetation that could hold the water back. It was like a bowling alley. The water just slid right down the slopes of these foothills because the wildfire had removed all of the vegetation. In fact, you can still see, yeah, right there. Look at the mountains here, the hilltops. They're still black. So there's no vegetation there. Very little, if any, to speak of. Now there's some over here. They could slow the water down some, but the hillsides were pretty slick. That's why those boulders came down so easily. There was just no vegetation to give those boulders any kind of traction at all. And that water came down fast and furious. So we can see the same exact situation tonight, tomorrow night, right in this same area. This is where the majority of the water is headed from Montecito, Bakersfield, over in the entire Los Angeles metropolitan area. This area could see major flooding, major landslides, mudslides here and there. And this could go on for the next 24 to 48 hours. And then the rain is going to make its way over to Nevada. It's already reaching up into Oregon. Could make its way to Arizona. We're supposed to see some rain here in about 48 hours. I think we're going to see some rain. Supposed to rain off and on for the next couple of days over here in Arizona once it starts raining. And it's a side effect of the atmospheric river that's bringing so much heavy rain to California that it very well could influence these fault lines over here in California. I was showing you guys the fault lines in Southern California. You put a lot of extra weight on these fault lines that are not used to, especially a sudden change, a radical change of weight over these areas of very heavy fault line presences, then there's more than likely going to be some sort of a reaction. They're going to react to the excessive weight that they're already managing, weight from cities and things like that. Compound that with a couple of days worth of very heavy rain, and quite possibly the relocation of surface land in the form of mudslides and things like that could trigger earthquakes. I think that's just common sense. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. You take an area that is heavily saturated with fault lines, just like we see here in Southern California, and like I said, throw a bunch of water weight on there, and more than likely you're going to see an increase in earthquakes. And here's this onshore flow, and this is what's creating the flood threat in the Santa Barbara area. You've got Montecito, Malibu, Santa Monica. The orographic lift fuels the flood threat. Highest threat for flooding on windward side of mountains along the coast, and that would be right in here. We were just looking at this area on Google Earth, and this is by tonight, Sunday night. You could possibly see this whole area. Not necessarily this entire area flooded like this, but you could see areas where this could very well materialize. Absolutely, because the onshore flow is going to be so strong and so persistent that the water has to go somewhere. Here's another look. This is the atmospheric river. There's high amounts of moisture in this atmospheric river. It's a major increase in strength. The major atmospheric river ramps up today. There's a low pressure setting off the coast of California near San Francisco, and that's where we've seen some of the wind peak wind gusts south of San Francisco in the 80, 90, even 100 mile an hour gust reported. So you've got what looks like, at least from a satellite's perspective, a tropical cyclone in a sense in February off the coast of California. What? Anyway, it's bringing in all this moisture just hour after hour after hour after hour. Do the math. Do the math. Just hour after hour after hour of moisture and rain, high winds and mudslides, and that's a lot of extra weight on the land here that's just loaded with fault lines. So I would expect an increase in earthquake activity. I would expect, at the very least, an increase in overall earthquake activity. And let's just take this area right here. Let's just do a little survey of our own. Let's look at the terrain here. And this is in the Los Angeles area where they could possibly see between 8 and 12 inches of rain. Right now on this map, there are 129 earthquakes in this area right here that we, in fact, I'll just take a screenshot of right here. Here we go. I'm doing it live right here in the live stream. We're screen grabbing this area. It's 2:48 my time in Arizona, and it's showing in this area that we just took a screen grab of 129 earthquakes as of the time right now, 2:48. So we'll see. We'll double check this area in, let's say, 48 hours when the rain starts to lighten up and possibly move out of the area. And we'll see if this number changes. I know it's going to change some. It may go down. It may very well go up. I expect it to go up. In this area here right now, it's showing on this map in the past 7 days, there's been 129 earthquakes, anywhere from 2.3 to 0.9. We'll see if that number goes up. Right now, the number is 129. So we're going to do our own survey, and we'll see if there is any possibility that water weight can influence earthquake activity. We'll see, because this area is going to be heavily saturated with water from the sky that was not on the land moving from one place to another. This is water from the sky. So we'll see. Remember that number, 129 is the number, and that's today, February 4th. We're going to recheck the same location, and I'll screen grab the same area, and we'll see what this number is right here. Right now, like I said, it is 129. Let's see what the power outages are right now. It was 206,000 in California. Now it's up to 217,000. Power lines are coming down left and right from these high winds that just are getting stronger and stronger. And as we move into the evening hours, this storm is going to intensify. It's going to start to impact Southern California, where right now, for all intents and purposes, it's been pretty quiet. But that's going to change this evening. You can see the same type of signature right here. See it? You're seeing that scorpion tail in the sky. It's starting to form, and it's going to form over Southern California, just like what we're seeing out in Central Florida right now. Check it out. got that scorpion in the sky. So right now, they're scorpion tail. No tornadoes, at least for the time being. There's been what, 9 tornado warning, at least 8 in this right here in this area. And there you can see that counterclockwise rotation. Same thing is occurring off the west coast of California. Counterclockwise rotation producing tornadoes. Same thing happening out west. Counterclockwise rotation producing tornadic signatures, at least. I don't know if these things touched ground, but had wind gusts of over 100 miles per hour reported in west central California less than an hour and 30 minutes ago. And this is what's going on out here in northern Florida and the state of Georgia, which is now looking at how many power outages in Georgia now? I mean, this is an unprecedented event. Probably down in southwestern Georgia. Probably a tornado went through that area. That was one of the areas that was in the tornado warning. So it looks like they, at the very least, had extremely high winds that probably blew trees down into power lines. So Georgia looking at 10,000 customers without power. Texas, 10,000 customers without power. And California, 217, looking at the affected counties, primarily right now along the coastal areas. That's probably going to change as we move through the evening hours, move more inland and more to the south, especially to the south. Kern County, that was added to the list, now 10,180, 32, almost 33,000 in Monterey, going up to Mendocino, 5,000. 11, almost 12,000 in Napa, and 18,000 in Solano counties. These are all counties that are currently dealing with major power outage situations, blackouts that could last for several days, because this event is just getting started. It's bringing rain in by the boatloads. It is not going to stop anytime soon. It's going to continue for the next several hours. In fact, throughout the overnight hours, and these foothills and mountains are going to be collecting a lot of rain, and gravity wins. Gravity always wins, so it's just going to follow the flow of the land, and it's going to find its way to the coast one way or another. That's where it's going to head. It's going to head right towards the coast, and that's sea level. And over here, where we are at, that's 3,900 feet. Oh, there's Mount Wilson. There's an observatory right there, I think, right? Let's look and see. I think, yeah, there it is. I thought there was. There's the observatory. How about that? 60-inch telescope, 100-inch telescope. Are you serious? Not seeing too much today. It is very cloudy, but there's an observatory right there at 5,200 feet. But anyway, all that water is just going to make its way through all of these valleys and eventually down through the cities, and then eventually to the coast. That's just how it works. It runs towards the ocean. Once it makes landfall, the water quickly runs towards the ocean. That's why you have flash flooding and things like that. The water gains momentum, especially in this part of the world. The water gains momentum in these foothills and start moving fast and collect debris. And next thing you know, you've got a mudslide. And sometimes the mudslides involve large boulders like we saw back in 2018. This was an unprecedented event. And like I said, I remember when Ventusky was calling for it. Nobody was watching Ventusky at the time, really. Ventusky was right. Ventusky was like, yeah, there's going to be 4 inches of rain possibly fall in a matter of about 90 minutes. Well, it sure enough happened. Sure enough happened and created that. So that's why they were advising people to just leave the Santa Barbara area. They have mandatory evacuations in this area. Mandatory evacuations for rain. Wow. Sorry, I had to get a drink, guys. You don't hear that very often. Mandatory evacuations for severe thunderstorms. A lot of these folks here evacuated. So, hopefully there won't be any landslides, but I think we all know that that's not going to be the case. There is a lot of inbound moisture that's just getting started. And it's the forecast models are showing, especially in the Los Angeles area. Let's look at the Santa Barbara area. Those are wind gusts. Let's look at precipitation. The next 3 hours. Let's go from today, 6 inches. Look at that, 6, 7 inches of rain. That is a lot of rain for a place where it hardly ever rains. So you've got wildfire burn scars in these areas that are very slick, like bowling alleys when it comes to water. Look at that rainfall total, 10.35. This is Ventisky. Ventisky is good. Ventisky is wise. Rancho Cucamonga, 8.47 inches. Diamond Bar, 5.4. And this is over roughly the next 48 hours, which, in some ways is good. You don't want 10 inches of rain coming down in 2 or 3 hours. I mean, that's hurricane activity there. But nevertheless, that's still a lot of rain that's going to find its way somewhere through a lot of people. There's millions of people that live here in this, especially the Los Angeles, Anaheim area, Santa Barbara area. And it's probably a good idea to ask people to evacuate if they could, because this is a big deal. Big, powerful atmospheric river. It's the first of many. There's going to be more. There's definitely going to be more. We're entering El Nino, and when you go into the El Nino, I can show you guys if I have it up. Yeah, I got it right here. Let's check out El Nino. Here we are this year. Here we go. El Nino 2023-2024. What are we in? Strong El Nino. It's like clockwork. It really is. So we're getting the atmospheric rivers in California. It happened back in 2018, but we were dealing with a weak El Nino. Red is El Nino, blue is La Nina years. Red are El Nino years. And if you follow those two trends, you'll know what the weather's going to do. 2018, there you go. Had the mudslide in Montecito, had a big atmospheric river in California, and it was a weak El Nino. We're dealing with a strong El Nino. So we're going to see more weather, more weather events that are, that are major weather events, days of Noah type event situations. I mean, you cannot make this stuff. Here's the evacuation. I wanted to share this with you guys in case you hadn't seen it. I mean, these people are taking this storm very serious. Here we go. Check this out.
I want to thank you for joining us for today's press conference. My name is Jackie Ruiz. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Santa Barbara County Office of Emergency Management. Our public safety officials have joined us here to discuss the significant storm that's arriving in our area. I'll ask media to save all questions till the end of the speaker's statements. I'll go ahead and invite Dr. Ariel Cohen from the National Weather Service up to the podium.
Listen to this guy.
Good day, everyone. My name is Ariel Cohen. I'm the meteorologist in charge of the National Weather Service in Los Angeles, Oxnard, California. Within the last few hours, the National Weather Service has issued a high risk for flash flooding. This high risk category is only used a few times per year anywhere across the United States. About half of flood-related deaths occur in high-risk areas. This includes all of the Santa Barbara area, all the way to Los Angeles. This is a particularly dangerous situation. I can't stress enough the importance that everyone be at a very high state of readiness, take those precautions to save your life from the upcoming floodwaters that will affect the Santa Barbara area. Once again, this is a situation that everyone needs to be very vigilant at a high state of readiness. Never drive through a flooded roadway ever. Turn around, don't drown. That decision to avoid that flooded roadway may save your life. Thank you and stay safe.
Thank you, Dr. Cohen. Next up, we'll have Sheriff Bill Brown.
Good afternoon, everyone. As you heard, this storm that is coming our way is a major storm. It is another atmospheric river expected to last from this evening through Tuesday morning. It has been described by the Weather Service as having a, quote, high risk for life-threatening and damaging flooding, and it is expected to be a step up from the January 2023 storm, which caused significant, over $80 million worth of damage in our county. The storm is projected to bring with it significant rain, generally 3 to 6 inches somewhat lower in the North County and higher in the South County, with 6 to 12 inches predicted for the mountains and the foothills. The numbers are concerning, but more concerning is the projected duration and sustained amount of rain that we can expect this weekend. Unlike the rain that caused the 1/9 debris flow, for example, the intensity of this storm's rain is not expected to exceed an inch or an inch and a quarter per hour. It's just that the rainfall will be far more sustained over a more or less continuous period for 24 hours or more. We are anticipating the possibility of flooding of streets and neighborhoods and of our highways and freeways as well. The storm will also bring with it some very strong winds. Our ground is already saturated from the previous storm that just ended, and accordingly, we may see numerous trees and power lines down. Our experts tell us they expect to see the impact of this storm throughout the county, and especially here in the South County. And if the higher levels of projected rainfall materialize, then water will likely spill over the banks of some creeks, rivers, and man-made water channels, causing flooding. Yesterday, we issued an evacuation warning for residents who live in the following areas: properties along waterways that are associated with the Thomas, Cave, and Alisal burn areas, and properties in the vicinity of Sycamore Creek from Stanwood Drive down to parts of Ninos Drive in the city of Santa Barbara. It is estimated that there are approximately 600 parcels in the evacuation areas. 355 of those are in the Montecito area. Today we received an update from the National Weather Service indicating that the storm system remains as previously forecast, again with that high, more than 70% chance risk of life-threatening and damaging flooding. And today they added that we can expect even higher winds with gusts up to 60 or more miles per hour throughout the county, and possible thunderstorms in addition on Sunday. As a result of this information, we are now issuing an evacuation order effective immediately for the same areas covered by yesterday's evacuation warning. Once again, those areas are properties along waterways associated with the Thomas, Cave, and Alisal burn areas, properties in the vicinity of Sycamore Creek from Stanwood Drive down to parts of Ninos Drive in the city of Santa Barbara. In addition, all in-county state beaches will be closed until further notice, including Gaviota, Refugio, El Capitan, and Carpinteria. Sheriff's deputies and members of our search and rescue team will be conducting door-to-door notifications about the evacuation order, as will Santa Barbara City police officers within the city of Santa Barbara. We expect to have those notifications completed by early this evening. We encourage people living in any of those areas to visit readysbc.org, where they can find an interactive map that will allow you to plug in your address and see if you are in one of the affected areas. Members of the community can also receive updates about the storm and its impacts, such as road and freeway closures, as well as information about other resources on the readysbc.org website. We intend to lift this order once the danger of the storm has passed. In the meantime, sheriff's deputies and Santa Barbara police officers will be providing increased patrols in the evacuated areas. Just shortly before this press conference, I received a call from our Congressman, Salud Carbajal, expressing his concern and his willingness to help us with any resources that might be needed as a result of the storm, federal resources. So what can you do? If you live in any of the evacuation areas, you should leave the area. If you have automobiles parked on the streets of low-lying neighborhoods, you should move them to higher ground. Heavy rain is expected to make conditions on the roads and the freeways exceedingly dangerous, and we encourage everyone to avoid any unnecessary travel during the storm, particularly tomorrow, Sunday through Monday. Schools will be closed on Monday throughout the county, and many work sites, including the County of Santa Barbara and the City of Santa Barbara, are encouraging their staff who can work from home to do so on Monday. We encourage other employers to do the same. This storm is predicted to be one of the largest and most significant in our county's history, and our goal is to get through it without any fatalities or any serious injuries. And to do that, we will need the cooperation of the public, and we ask you for that now. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Next up, we'll have the Chief of Police for the City of Santa Barbara, Kelly Gordon.
Good afternoon. I just want to address a couple things that are Santa Barbara city specific on top of what the sheriff already shared. The city will have their sandbag stations open throughout the day. The first one's at 401 East Yananali, and the second is at Fire Station 7 at 2411 Stanwood. There will be a hard closure of the breakwater and Stearns Wharf starting at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. The city has brought in additional staff and is ready to address the needs of the community. We've also opened city storm emergency parking, so as the sheriff referred to those low-lying areas, you know if you are in those areas in the city of Santa Barbara, we have opened City Lot 2 and the roof at 914 Chapala so that you can park your car there instead of leaving it on the street. In addition to the school closures, so Santa Barbara City College is also closed for Monday, as well as City Hall, and all public counters will be closed on Monday. If you have any questions, we are going to be pushing out the same material that the county is pushing out, as well as additional material on our websites and social media for the City of Santa Barbara. And we ask that you be patient as we work through this. And as the sheriff said, do not drive in those low-lying areas so that we can have resources available for those critical incidents that we need to address. City staff and public works will be overstaffed so that we can address some of the needs that we see in the city of Santa Barbara, specific to some of the beach concerns that come with our water system. So those will be fully staffed throughout the weekend and into this storm. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I'll invite Chief David Niels from the Montecito Fire Protection District.
Good afternoon. My name is David Niels, Fire Chief of the Montecito Fire Department, and I'm also the Vice President of the Santa Barbara County Fire Chiefs Association. So I will be representing Fire Chief Robert Kovac of the Carpinteria Summerlin Fire Department, Fire Chief Chris Males of the Santa Barbara City Fire Department, as well as Fire Chief Mark Hartwig of the Santa Barbara County Fire Department, as we focus on the specific storm threats to the Santa Barbara front country, which includes the areas of Gaviota east to the Ventura County line. Our area experienced an unprecedented storm on January 9th of 2023. It caused significant roadway flooding and the closure of Highway 101, flooding in the city of Santa Barbara, and it required evacuations of residents and schools as the intensity exceeded predictions, causing area creeks and water conveyance systems to be overwhelmed. Our partners at the National Weather Service have run predictive models, and they are advising us that this inbound weather system will surpass the effects of the 2023 storm. With that information, we are sharing with our citizens across multiple jurisdictions that they will be impacted, and we need the public to heed evacuation directives. We are pleased that educational institutions are pivoting their schedules for the safety of their students and families. One of the effects of the 2023 storm were the numerous areas of the San Ynez Range above our communities that mobilized sediment and rock off the hillsides into our creeks and debris basins. Our slopes are saturated once again, and as we work with county flood control and hydrologists and geologists from the United States Geological Survey, the California Geological Survey, and the United States Forest Service, we understand that there is potential for material to be mobilized. We saw and validated in a 2023 report from April that nearly 1,200 areas of soil movement occurred after the 2023 storm. So the likelihood of sediment mobilization is real. On behalf of the fire agencies that serve your communities, we continue to prepare and have increased staffing and equipment readiness for this storm. Please do your part to prepare and heed evacuation information as broadcasted. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Deputy Chief Anthony Stornetta from the Santa Barbara County Fire Department.
Good evening, everyone. The one question we always get when we come to these press conferences, unfortunately, is what are we doing to prepare? Aside from the sheriff getting out ahead of time, doing the evacuations, making the calls, ready SVC and alerts from and messaging from OEM is, what resources are we preparing? First off, we're going to go ahead and stand up our incident management team again, and we've done this in numerous times before in the mud debris flows and the many fires that we've unfortunately seen in this county. This team is made up of specialized personnel, highly trained at the national level, and have responded throughout the nation. We're lucky enough to have an operational area team made up of all the local government departments and also law enforcement and the sheriff's office. It's this collaboration that helps us manage these large, complex incidents. And right now we're preparing, but we're prepared for the biggest thing to come. So whatever that may present us. Above and beyond that incident management team made up of all the cooperators and partners in the county is we're also putting specialized equipment. So on a daily basis, we have 100 firefighters, 120 plus firefighters stationed daily here throughout the county. We're going to increase that by 60 additional and lots of special equipment. So throughout the county, we're going to have water rescue teams staged in the Santa Maria Valley, the San Ynez Valley, and down here in the Gaviota, Santa Barbara area. We'll have four-wheel drive engines through Lompoc, Santa Barbara, Carpinteria, Montecito, and up in the North County, Santa Maria, and the county areas, all trying to be the most prepared in case we do get something. We'll also have on standby a Type 1 helicopter with a crew of 5 for specialty hoist rescue, much like we saw in the debris flows and the rescuing of over 100 personnel in the 1-9 event in 2018. We're trying to be prepared as we can. We're also going to assist Public Works and Caltrans with special equipment. We have dozers, excavators, loaders, and special equipment also throughout the county in special areas. We're planning for certain highways to close, and that's why everything is strategically placed in case we are blocked. We still have resources available. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Cal OES for the support of this preposition and the approvals to help with funding. This doesn't come out of the local coffers. These additional funds come from the Cal OES and AB 109. So I'd like to thank them, and then thank all our collaborators behind us and our stakeholders who've worked diligently to come up with this plan and work forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll go to our final speaker, Kelly Hubbard, Director for the Santa Barbara County Office of Emergency Management.
Good afternoon. Wanted to share some important information with our community members. One, I want to make sure our community members are looking to enhance their supplies that they have at home. Regardless of whether you are in the evacuation order or areas that you are evacuating from, for the rest of our community, there is still a flood risk and potential to not be able to leave your homes due to flooding of roadways and riverways. So please, if you are staying at home, because you are not in the evacuation order zone, please make sure you have some supplies at home, flashlights with batteries, food, water, those general supplies that we'd encourage you to have for any type of emergency. Please check with your neighbors. We know we have community members who need additional help and may not be able to help themselves in these times. Please check and see if those neighbors need help with sandbags or their own emergency supplies if you are able to do so. We do have sandbag stations across the county. Those are listed at readysbc.org and at the County Public Works website. As always, I want to encourage community members to register for emergency alerts and update your emergency information at readysbc.org. You may have registered before, but it's important to go in and make sure that information is current and correct. The Santa Barbara County Call Center will be open today. That phone number is 833-688-5551. An evacuation center is open at the Wake Center, which is at 300 North Turnpike Road, Santa Barbara. For those campers who are in those campgrounds that are now closing, if you need accommodations, please come to that evacuation center and we will help to adjust and accommodate for those who might be coming in addition from those campgrounds. For small animal shelter information, you can call 805-681-4332. For large animal evacuation assistance, please call 805-892-4484. To stay updated on all of this information, including the phone numbers we just shared, this information is on readysbc.org. I'm going to repeat the call center phone number again one more time for the community. 833-688-5551. The evacuation order notices will be going out to those community members following this press conference, and the map should be updated already, or if not in the near future, with those additional with the evacuation order and the state campgrounds. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to all of our speakers for their important updates. We'll now take questions from the media. Media, I ask that you please state your name, media affiliation, and who your question is for. I'm seeing no questions. All right.
No questions.
Then that will conclude.
And that was yesterday evening, evacuation orders. And you saw all the speakers there, heard what they had to say. The gentleman from the National Weather Service, he spoke of a particularly dangerous situation, event that was going to potentially unfold. It is unfolding, and he was exactly right up to this point. They don't use those they call them a PDE, a particularly dangerous event, PDEs. They don't use those very often. Those three letters with regard to weather are used very sparsely. They're using them now. That language was used last night at that press conference, and this storm situation is unfolding, and it is happening. And you know what? Sometimes, here's the thing. It sounds like they're as prepared as any community could be. They were focusing on the Santa Barbara area, which is right in here, and that's a very good idea. I'm sure other areas are focusing on their communities as well, especially at the base of these foothills. I mean, with this much rain forecasted to come into these areas, like he mentioned, Carpinteria, and I didn't hear anything about Muscle Shoals or Faria Beach or anything like that, but I'm sure that they're well aware of the situation. They do need to head for higher ground, because sometimes, even though the man from the National Weather Service called this a PDE, a particularly dangerous event, sometimes even those can be underestimated. Sometimes they can be underestimated, and these things can turn out to be super overachievers. I've seen it before. I've seen it with storms for many years. I remember Hurricane Michael, that's now a retired name. That one was one that doesn't involve a land-based storm like you're seeing right here. But that was a storm that was underestimated. It ended up being an overachiever. I can remember it forming down just south of Cuba, in between the Yucatan and Cuba, down in there. And I remember looking at that thing, and I thought it had potential, and it had way more than potential. It was a Cat 5 that ended up being retired. But anyway, sometimes these things can be overachievers, and this could be one of those times. I don't know. I'll show you guys some cameras here. Some of these areas, some of these cameras work, some of them don't. You can kind of get an idea of what's going on in some of these areas. And guys, tonight, if you're in the San Diego area, conditions are going to start to deteriorate. I can see over in San Diego right now, it doesn't even look like, at least in this part of San Diego, check it out. It's not even raining. This is in San Diego right now. This is going to change. This is going to change a lot. By this evening, it's going to be very wet in San Diego. Let's go up to Lake Tahoe. Whole different world up here, right? Go up into the elevations. It's colder. The precipitation comes down frozen, and it's a beautiful white. We call it snow here on Earth. That's what we recognize as snow. Let's go to another location. Echo Summit. Check this out. This place is getting just a boatload. Look at all that snow. Wow, and it's going to continue, guys, for several hours. Snow, 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 to the point where there's avalanche warnings in these areas. Avalanche warnings. Yeah, there's going to be so much snow come down in these areas. Let's go to South Lake Tahoe. You can see some cars here. Not a whole lot of snow in this particular area. They've got the roads cleared off, obviously, because it's a fairly populated area. I think that's a tourist area, too. Another Lake Tahoe area. People go up there to snow and just to get away. Echo Lake, snow, Twin Bridges, Pollock Pines. Now, right there, it's on the edge of the snow and ice. So, beautiful part of the world. Really, really is. Very beautiful up there. Big, tall pines. Those are baby pines. They come from a much bigger breed that we're not even familiar with. Sacramento, West Sacramento. Let's take a look at Sacramento. That one there is temporarily unavailable. That one's unavailable. Could be a power outage there. Maybe from high winds. I don't know. Some of these work really good. Like right here in Los Gatos, it's still dry. Now, that's actually an old run. That's from last night. It is not dark there. It is daylight. San Bernardino, Riverside's going to get wet tonight, guys. Very wet. The further south you go, here we go, Santa Cruz. Let's check this out. This is in the northern part of California, south of San Francisco. I don't think the camera is working. Yeah, it is. I was watching one of the cameras earlier before I started the live stream, and it was bouncing from the high winds. The winds were blowing so hard, and it's probably knocked offline now. It looks like it is. It was bouncing in the high winds earlier, and then the winds took it offline. Which I'm not surprised, these things are hooked up to the same power supplies that are in these same areas that are dealing with power outages. So they're going to go out too. You can see a little bit of rain on the highway here at Harkin Slow Road, Green Valley Road, and Harkin Slow Road. This is up in I want to say the Northern California area. Not 100% sure on that. Yeah, Santa Cruz. So this would definitely be up in the Northern California area. The conditions here are they're going to fluctuate. You're going to get rain showers come through, very heavy rain at times, and then it'll get quiet like it is right now. And you can see there's a little bit of traffic out, but not a whole lot going on. I had some feeds out of the San Francisco area, but they were intermittent. Like now, here's a farming area. So this is inland. Where it's still, for the time being, fairly dry, but you can see the winds are starting to pick up. Notice how the camera is starting to bounce around a little bit. The winds are starting to pick up. See the movement of the camera? Starting to get windy, so the storm is making its way inland. And it's going to be making its way south, and in. And then eventually over to my location over here in Arizona. Yeah, San Bernardino, this is more inland. A lot of these cameras are offline. The majority of them, though, that I found, they work. You can see it's still dry there. Check it out. San Bernardino, dry as a bone for now. That's going to change, guys. It's going to rain. You're just probably a couple hours away from heavy rain that's going to accumulate on the roads and in your dry ditches that are currently dry right now. Where's this at? Nevada? I know it's dry there. I'm just looking at here's Napa. I think it's raining up in Napa. Temporarily unavailable. I haven't even looked at these. Raining in Sonoma. Not seeing anything super drastic. Now here, I think this is one that was bouncing earlier, if it's still online. Doesn't look like it hung in there, but you could see some flooding on this one. Some of the roads yep, that one there didn't make it. It went offline. And that is Paso Robles. See if we can find another one in that area. Starting to rain here. This is in the western Kern area. Once again, you can see the camera starting to bounce a little bit. I remember watching a camera one time during a hurricane. I couldn't believe the camera stayed online, but it did. It's a camera on a New Orleans bridge. Unbelievable. It was bouncing around like it was inside of a washing machine. And it looked like it was inside of a washing machine. It stayed online, I think, until the mount broke. Did a very good job, but we were watching. It was a Cat 4. It was right in the middle of a Cat 4 hurricane, and it stayed online. These are just cameras that are in California. I'm trying to find some that are in the middle. Here we go, San Francisco. I don't know if it's going to work. Yeah, a lot of these ones up in the San Francisco, especially the Bay Area. Oh, here's a cool view. I don't know if it's on though. We'll check it out. But see, that's from last night. There's no way that's new. That's got to be. That's a very cool view on top of the Bay Bridge. How about that? Unfortunately, it's old footage. What's up with that? Oakland, temporarily unavailable. Bay Bridge again. I think this is old footage too. But we'll look and see if it's even on. I don't think it's on. Nope, not on. Looking around for, here we go, Santa Clara. This is up in the middle of the rain right now. But again, why is old footage on there? That doesn't make a lick. Santa Clara, unavailable, right on. Okay, here we go. Yeah, it's dry in some of the areas and very, very wet in some of the others. So it's going to be a mixed bag for the next couple of days, as the atmospheric river you can see over here is right here. This is the line of moisture, the Pineapple Express that's making its way. This is all influenced by El Nino, guys. It's not a surprise to me. If you follow El Nino and La Nina, you'll know the weather too. If you follow, here's an earthquake that just occurred a little while ago. That's a new one. That's a 1.5 that occurred 2 kilometers east-northeast of Colton, California. That's not anything uncommon, though. That happens, as you can see, all the time in California. They're known for their small earthquakes. I felt one myself. Felt like I was standing on a marshmallow temporarily. So that's not necessarily anything new, but that is a new one right there. That's happened within the last few minutes. And there's another one down here just west of the Salton Sea. But the total is still, let's see, let me refresh the page. Still at 129. So we must have had one come off and then 2 new ones go back on. So we're going to recheck this same location here in 2 days, and we're going to see if the water weight has influenced any of these fault lines in the Southern California area, especially in the Southern California area, but not limited to. There's faults that run through San Francisco. In fact, there's quite a series of fault lines that run through the San Francisco area. But here's another look at the Los Angeles area, Thousand Oaks, Santa Clarita, Santa Monica, Long Beach, Marina Del Rey, which most people that live in the marina will be in very good shape. But it's the folks that are on land, and especially the folks in the foothill areas. I mean, wow, this is just a terrible, terrible situation that's unfolding with regard to this atmospheric river that's just bringing, it's like a fire hose right now that's just bringing in just boatloads of water into this area here, just hour after hour after hour after hour. The ground it's already a little bit saturated. It's going to get even more saturated. And yeah, I mean, the rainfall totals, I think I have, is it on this one? On this one right here, as you can see, again, 8 to 12 inches of snow in the 12 to 18 inches of snow, up to 30 inches of snow in the Sierra Nevadas, and 12 to 8 inches of rain in the Los Angeles area. Monterey, parts of Monterey, looking at 8 to 12, 5 to 8 inches of rain, and 3 to 5. Santa Barbara, some areas could see right there, if you notice right behind the ARA, you can see that dark red area. That is the 8 to 12 inches coming down in the foothills, right behind Montecito again. Got to be kidding me. You can't make this stuff up. But anyway, I'm glad they evacuated the Santa Barbara area, and hopefully they're taking the same precautions over here in the greater, especially the greater Los Angeles area. You can see right there, that dark red, that's 8 to 12. So you can rest assured they're probably going to get at least 8. And sometimes these storms are overachievers. And the weatherman that was just in that news briefing, the news briefing was from yesterday evening, but it is unfolding as predicted. And sometimes these things can be overachievers. And from the looks of the satellite presentation of this thing, it is at least going to do what's predicted. Will it do more? We'll just have to wait and see. But the only thing that you can really do is prepare for the worst and hope for the best, right? You know, that's the only attitude to have. There's nothing you can do to change it. So just prepare for the worst, hope for the best, and what happens, happens, you know. Just stay out of the way and be safe, you know. Don't put yourself in harm's way. Make good choices and wait until the weather clears out, and let the people that are, you know, the EMS people that are helping people that are in need, that weren't prepared like you, let them do their job and just stay out of the way until this stuff clears. But it's going to be around a while, guys. It's going to be a Days of Noah event. You can rest assured. Let's double check the power outage situation. Wow, jumped 100 grand. 323,000 now without power in California. Last time we checked, it was at 217, like 20 minutes ago. Are you serious? Went up over 100,000. That's what I'm saying. This could be an overachiever. Don't underestimate this storm. Look at all the new counties now that are experiencing major power outages. This could be an overachiever. Wouldn't surprise me if this gets up to 1 million. Wouldn't be surprised at all if and that's customers. That's not people that are impacted by the outages. There's probably already 1 million people that are affected by the power outages. This is 323,610 outages. So basically, let's just say that those were all homes, you know? And let's just say, hypothetically, there's 2 people that live per home. Then that's over 646,000 customers without power, right? That people. And you know it's more than that. Some houses have 5 people that live in it, 4, 3. It's a variety. So it's probably already affecting 1 million people, would be my guess, if there's 323,000 that are in the middle of a blackout right now as I do this video, and will more than likely not have power for a couple of days. And that's just being realistic, because the linesmen, they can't get up in their trucks to repair down power lines anytime the wind is at 35 miles an hour or greater. If it's 35 or 34 or below, then they can cautiously get up into their lifts and restore power lines. But you don't want to be upholding power lines and especially, even though the truck only goes up in the air, what, maybe 20, 25 feet tops, their lifts, their bucket trucks, it's still a little windier up there. It's a little windier than it is on the ground, so they have to be safe too. So just being realistically, it could be a couple of days before the majority of the power gets back on, and you know it all won't be back on in a couple of days, but it all depends on this storm. Is it going to be an overachiever? It's already achieving, that's for sure. Going back to Florida, we're still looking at tornado activity in the Georgia area now. Brunswick, there's a tornado warning. South, man, this is even, look at all the activity here. It's almost overwhelming to even try to interpret. Look at all of the actions going on here. Got marine warnings, you've got tornado warnings, you've got thunderstorm warnings. What's this one here? Special weather statements. What's this one here? A mesocyclone discussion? Special marine warning. This is a mesocyclone discussion, I think. Let me look. Yeah, that's exactly what that is. A mesoscale discussion. They're talking about the potential for formation of tornadoes. Right here, another tornado warning. This is in the Brunswick area. Country Club Estates, tornado warning expires in 10 minutes. I like to read these when they come across, because they don't come across very often. And if it can help one person, it's time well spent. Activation requested tornado warning, National Weather Service, Jacksonville. Today expires at 5:18 p.m. Eastern Time. Tornado warning for Camden County in southeastern Georgia, Glenn County in southeastern Georgia. 5:18 p.m., severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Jekyll Island, 10 miles southeast of Brunswick, moving northwest at 35 miles per hour. Tornado, flying debris, or radar indicated rotation. But they are advising people to take cover now. This is a dangerous storm. So if you're in this area right here or know anybody that's in that area, it would be a great idea to find the most interior room of your dwelling that preferably has no glass. I know everybody's circumstances are different. We even have a plan out here in Arizona. We know where the safe room's at in our house. We know which room to go to in case of a tornado outbreak or, severe storm or whatever. We have a plan, and we're in Arizona where it hardly ever rains. So if you're in an area like this that's prone to severe weather and severe thunderstorms, sit down with your family. There's a new one that just popped up right there. And at the very least, have your safe room designated so you know where to go and you don't even have to think about it. When there's a tornado warning, thunderstorm warning, you know where to go because you're on top of your stuff. Right here near Ratcliffe, this is it. I think northern Florida tornado warning. This just happened. I mean, this is hot off the press from the National Weather Service once again in Jacksonville, Florida. They are busy today. Brand new tornado warning expires in 23 minutes. Tornado warning for central Nassau County in northeastern Florida, north central Duval County in northeastern Florida until 6 p.m. Eastern time. So that would be another 24 minutes. At 5:33, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Jacksonville International Airport. And that's something else I wanted to talk about too. The flights in and out of Los Angeles and San Diego, air traffic will be definitely impacted by the severe weather out west. There'll be flight delays galore for the next couple of days. I would assume. This one here is a tornado moving northeast at 20 miles an hour. Radar indicated rotation, flying debris. This is a dangerous storm near the Jacksonville International Airport. And once again, they are advising people in this area and in the path of this storm to take cover now. That's not me talking. That's the weather experts at the National Weather Service. So if you know anybody that's in that area, if you know anybody that's in north central Florida, period, they need to be on high alert right now. These things are popping off left and right like popcorn. Every 5 minutes it seems like there's a new severe thunderstorm warning. There's a thunderstorm warning right there. Expires in 22 minutes. What do we got going on here? Special weather statement? That's right in the middle of north central Florida. Strong thunderstorm will impact northwest. Wind gusts of 40, hail. Yeah, I mean we can see that on the radar. I mean and these things are just recycling one after another after another. A lot of energy in the atmosphere, both in the western part of the U.S. and the southern. The northern Gulf states are seeing a lot of activity, and especially out here in California. Now we're getting new warnings out here. Look at the blue. I think that's a mesoscale? No. Up in the mountains? Yeah. Gotta be kidding me. Mesoscale discussion expires in 3 hours and 51 minutes. They're talking about rotation in the clouds in the mountains. Wow. You don't see that very often. Here you go. That's a marine warning. Now, I get that along the coast where the winds are very, very strong right now. Absolutely. We're going to see more of those. Near Santa Maria, that's another marine warning, special marine warning. They're basically telling people that if you're in a boat, you might want to get out of it. That's all. Don't go out in a boat right now. There's another tornado. Look, check it out. This is California, north of San Jose. Are you serious? It's like seeing snow in Jamaica. I mean, this is just nuts. There you go, right there. North of San Jose, near Mountain View, east of Woodside, Redwood City, southeast of Redwood City. You're seeing a tornado on the radar near San Francisco. What? I mean, this just doesn't happen. It's a TBS. That's a mesocyclone that was spotted in the sky. That means there was rotation that radar suggested was a tornado. Whether it made contact with the ground or not remains to be seen. But you hardly ever see this on here in California. Hardly ever. Like I said, this is it's like seeing snow in Jamaica. It's just almost weird. But it's real. It's happening. It's a Days of Noah event right here. This is a new one that was just posted here recently. This is a strong wind gust near Merced Airport. 64 mile an hour wind gust. That's a strong wind gust. But one thing that should strongly be considered is air traffic in and out of Los Angeles and And I know there's airports all up in San Francisco. I'm sure there's delays right now as I do this video. But looking at the situation, you can see the rain moving in the Los Angeles area. You know that's impacting flights in and out of the Los Angeles area. Notice how the rain now has changed direction. It's south now. It's raining, that's moderate to heavy rain over Simi Valley, Thousand Oaks, Los Angeles, going right into the foothills of those mountains. And you know what that spells. The water is going to accumulate. It's going to run downhill, down into the valleys and down into homes and communities and things like that. So you guys need to be prepared, because this is going to be a long duration event. This is a marathon, not a sprint. This is a marathon. This is a big atmospheric river, and it probably won't be the last one. It's El Nino, strong El Nino. I showed you guys the El Nino graph. That the data goes back for, I don't know, 50 years, maybe 75 years, and it is as consistent as your clock on your smartphone. It really is. You want to know the weather? You just follow El Nino or La Nina, and you'll know the weather. It's like clockwork. It really and truly is. But flights in and out of Los Angeles have to be impacted by the high winds and heavy rains. Probably going to be delays. This is a very busy place, and all it takes is one or two, to get out of sync, and then the whole situation gets thrown out of calculation. Now here, this is a new warning right here. This just came on right now as I'm talking to you. A flash flood warning in the Santa Barbara area. Oxnard area expires in 9 hours and 17 minutes. So in other words, this is going to be in effect until probably midnight. Flash flood, was that a warning? That's a warning. So that's a warning means it's already started. A watch means it could. The conditions are favorable for the possibility thereof. A warning means it's on. It is happening. Here we go. Activation requested. Flash flood warning, National Weather Service out of Los Angeles. We were just talking about our friends in Los Angeles. They've issued a flash flood warning for, here we go, I think it's Santa Barbara, right? Southern Santa Barbara County in southwestern California, Ventura County in southwestern California until midnight tonight. At 2:40 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Doppler radar and automated rain gauges indicated heavy rain falling across the warned area. Between 1 and 3 inches of rain has already fallen. An additional rainfall amount of 1 to 4 inches are possible in the warned area through midnight. So that would be a total of potentially 2 to 7 inches of rain between now and midnight. Flash flooding and debris flows are occurring. They're already occurring and will worsen tonight. And that tonight, that's the key word right there. That just compounded the situation by 1,000, because anytime you have natural disasters that occur when it's dark, it's 1,000 times worse, because when people need help and you can't see where you're going and there's no power, it just makes the situation 1,000 times worse. Not that any of these situations are ever good, but when they're at night, they're just terrible. Debris flows are occurring, flash flooding and landslides caused by heavy rain. And there's another thing right there. Heavy, that's literally, rain is heavy. It may be raining heavy, but rain is heavy. You take 7 inches of rain and put it over any area. That's a lot of weight in that area. Flash flooding and debris flows are occurring. Radar and automated gauges are the source. Impact. Flash flooding of small creeks and streams, urban areas, highways, streets, and underpasses, as well as other poor drainage and low-lying areas. Debris flows consisting of rock and mudslides. Some locations that will experience flash flooding include, here we go, Oxnard, Thousand Oaks, Simi Valley, Ventura, Santa Barbara, Camarillo, Lompoc, Fillmore, Ojai, Montecito, where we saw one in 2018, Santa Nez, Point, Conception, Chatsworth, Moore Park, Santa Paula, Port Hueneme, Carpinteria, Solvang, Summerland, and Rincon Point. Turn around, don't drown when encountering flooded roads. Most deaths occur in vehicles. Be especially cautious at night. Yeah, the key word there is at night, when it's harder to recognize the dangers of flash flooding. Anytime any type of natural disaster occurs at night, it's 1,000 times worse, especially a tornado, and you're dealing with water on the loose. Flash flooding, you lose your bearings real quick if you can't see the roads. And then being cloudy, if you use the moon as a navigation tool, like I have, I use the moon and sun to know my directions. So if it's cloudy and you can't see the moon or the sun, then it makes it tough. This is a severe storm here already starting east Los Angeles. That's what that long line means right there. There's a storm moving in the southeast direction. Okay. Yeah, I believe it. This is an overachiever. This is a big storm. You can see the warnings are popping on here, fast and furious. This is going to be again, this is a marathon. This isn't a sprint. This is a marathon. This is going to be a long duration event. So just be ready for anything, guys. Let's check the power outage situation again. Last time we checked it, it jumped 100,000 plus. Just jumped another 40,000. It is now up to 360,000 customers without power now in California due to the inclement weather. And this number is only going to climb. It'll quite possibly eclipse 1 million. It wouldn't surprise me a bit. Colorado looking at 11,500. What's going on in Colorado? Looks like it's in eastern Colorado, dealing with some power outages. But right now, California, 360,000 customers without power. Unbelievable, but believable. I mean, you take a look at the sky, it's not unbelievable. There is a very large atmospheric river making its presence known right now. This is a days of Noah type event. It's going to rain for days. 2 days to be specific, probably a little bit more by the time it's all said and done. This could be an overachiever. The list of warnings and watches is literally a mile long. It seems like it. I'm exaggerating, but here it is. You scroll through all of those. Those are all watches, warnings, anywhere from avalanche watches, winter weather watches and warnings in the mountains to flood watches and warnings. We just read a flash flood warning that's in effect. This stuff is occurring in real time, just like the man said in the interview that we just watched. He said that this event could create a particularly dangerous situation, and it is. The situation is not safe at all, especially unfolding into the nighttime hours. And again, anytime natural disasters, and this is what this is kind of turning into. It's a very long duration, strong storm that's not messing around. It came with a lot of horsepower, a lot of moisture, and a lot of wind. It's a very strong storm, and you can see it reaches out into the Pacific. It has basically unlimited resources. Look at that thing. It's huge. And it's going to bring rain over into my location. I'm over here. I'm in the Phoenix area. So we're going to get rain from this is turning into what we call, or I call, big scorpion tail in the sky. Another one. See the tail is like a big scorpion tail. We're dealing with that. You see that during El Nino. I'm telling you, it's weird. It's so consistent. You see the atmospheric rivers and things like that during El Nino out here that you don't see during La Nina. It is weird. But this is what happened back in 2018. This was another El Nino year, and saw the massive mudslide that came down into Montecito, came down out of these mountains right here, right in here. Place got very saturated. It rained very heavy over a burn scar, and water just went right down through here. Brought the huge boulders with it. It was not a good situation. So we were already starting to see landslides and things like that in the California area. It's just getting started, guys. The rain is moving farther south. It's going to start affecting Los Angeles very heavy. It's going to start affecting San Diego. As you can see, it's making its way south. Already in the Newport Beach area. The thing that's not being talked about, and I'll mention it again for you new folks, is the water weight from this very heavy rain. This rain is saturating an already wet ground. It rained a lot over there in January, and the ground is still, it's pretty wet for Southern California. Like I said, there's songs written about how it never rains in Southern California. Well, now we're going to add a whole bunch of rain to Southern California, about 2 days worth. In some cases, 12 inches of rain. This area is known for its fault lines. You can see these little red lines on here. It's also known for its earthquakes, its earthquake activity. The red lines are fault lines. These are typically where earthquakes occur. These are breaches in the ground or some sort of an active region underground. It doesn't take much to make them active. Add a bunch of weight on top of the ground here, a lot of weight. Do you think they're going to react to the weight? What if you put about 500 pounds on your shoulders? Would your legs react to the weight? Probably some, probably a lot. So take a lot of rain and put it in an area that is loaded with fault lines. Of course they're going to react to it. They have no choice. So that's what we're dealing with here too, is the extra weight, because this water is coming from the sky. It's not like it's on the ground already and it's just moving from one place to another. It's coming from the sky. It's new weight. So this area is going to get heavier. The surface of the ground is just going to be heavier, that's all. So is it going to trigger some earthquakes? I would say so. And I would be surprised if it didn't. Obviously, there's always earthquakes in Southern California. I'm talking about like maybe a new swarm. Maybe an earthquake in the 4 or 5 range. You just never know. These things are very hard to predict. Even in an area that there's going to be earthquakes, it's still hard. Yeah, you can say, there's going to be an earthquake in California, and chances are you're going to be right. There was an earthquake that just happened while we're doing this live stream. There's one right there. This red one, that just happened within the last 60 minutes. So there's always earthquakes, but we want to see if there's an increase in earthquake activity following all of this very heavy rain that's saturating the ground and making the ground that much heavier on these fault lines or stress fractures in the ground. They have to react to the additional weight. I would think so. So we're going to see. We measured a specific area, and then at the time when we took a screen grab, there were 129 earthquakes in like this area, like right in here. I have the screen grab. We're going to go to that exact same location in 48 hours, and we're going to see if the number's gone up any at all. And it very well could on a normal day. But these are not necessarily normal conditions. There's going to be a lot of extra weight on the ground here in 48 hours. It's coming, it's occurring right now as I do this video. All of that is going to be converted into moisture on the ground in the form of water. Some of it's going to be absorbed into the ground, some of it's going to run off. But either way, there's going to be more weight on the ground tomorrow than there is today. So how will the fault lines react to the extra weight? We'll have to wait and see. Right now, there's 129 earthquakes in that area, and we're going to see here in a couple of days how much that number has changed one way or another, up or down. It may go down. We'll have to wait and see. And then again, it could go up. But it's an El Nino year, so there's going to be a lot more of these atmospheric rivers. Not necessarily a weekly occurrence, but when I say a lot, maybe a half a dozen, because it hardly ever rains in Southern California. But when it's an El Nino year, and the red is El Nino, 2023 and 2024, it is El Nino time, just like 2018 when there was the huge mudslide in Montecito, and it was influenced by an atmospheric river, just like we're seeing today. So got a new photo over here at the homepage of the website by Coco out of Thunder Bay, Ontario. Super cool sky. Get a load of the rolls up in the sky. Look like louvers in the sky. They almost don't look natural, but those are a natural sky phenomenon. Thank you, Coco. Really do appreciate that. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. Thanks for stopping by, TJ and Art Gray and everybody that joined the live stream today. I really appreciate that. If you're in California, just be ready for anything, guys, especially power outages and flooding. There's no good time for a flood, especially after dark when the lights are out. So I hope you're prepared. Stay put until the rain passes. I think that would be a great idea. It does look like this is going to materialize into a major long duration storm. And there are many inches of rain coming in the lower parts of all of California. The elevations are going to see in some cases, many feet of snow. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching. Have a super day. And as always, be safe out there.